Hello, everyone. Give us several minutes while other participants are joining, and we'll start in 2 minutes. So, first of all, I would like to introduce myself and make a welcoming speech. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to see you at our webinar. My name is Anton Chernotalov, and I'm the CEO of ePromo Group. We are a top 5 company on the Russian market with a 250 million USD at budget under management. We are a team of 470 full-time employees. We have offices in Russia, Estonia, Armenia, Israel, and the UAE. Our clients are from more than 20 countries worldwide, and we focus on several key industries such as real estate, e-commerce, and finance. Our UAE office in Dubai works with GCC clients, and we are planning to open a branch in Riyadh. We have experience working with developers and real estate agencies in Russia, European Union, Kazakhstan, and the UAE. For example, we have worked with 5 of the top 10 developers in Russia in different segments, such as premium luxury in Moscow, mass market economy class, countryside projects, etc. In the UAE market, we provide full circle marketing and advertising services in digital media, including market research, digital mobile production, creative services, digital media buying and planning, and our key specialization, digital performance marketing. The central theme of our webinar is how real estate companies from GCC target Russian-speaking audience. Of course, the Russian-speaking audience is not only Russian citizens, it's also people from Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Armenia, and former USSR republics. Why did we decide to do this webinar? Firstly, last year, Russian citizens became #1 in terms of real estate sales volume in the UAE. There are several reasons for this increased demand. Restriction on capital moving from Russia, but ability to make payments for foreign real estate. Relocation of a lot of high net worth individuals and highly qualified employees of Western companies after the Russian-Ukrainian crisis. Historically, investments in real estate were very popular with Russian-speaking people. New luxury or premium properties in Moscow often were almost sold before the finish of construction. In Russian, there is a proverb, money loves silence. So, after February 2022, most of the active real estate investors from former USSR republics decided to look at foreign markets, especially the UAE market, which has shown good growth recently, and move their money and their savings to this region by buying properties here. Secondly, until the Russian-Ukrainian conflict stops and while the Russian economy stays good and money can be transferred from Russia to GCC, many buyers will invest here in real estate. Dubai has become the city #1 in investments from the Russian-speaking audience, and other cities like Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, and countries from GCC will receive the next round of investments. Thirdly, we in ePromo have great experience in working with real estate companies and leading developers in the Russian market, such as Peak, FSK, and Glavstroy, and know the behavior of an audience, customer journey maps, typical problems, and solutions in promotion properties for Russian-speaking people. Finally, we understand how to work with companies from GCC and have all the needed infrastructure to plan, launch, manage, and analyze their campaigns in this market. Several words about our program for today. The first speaker from Kalinka Real Estate Agency will share data and insights from their research about Russian-speaking investors' behavior. Over the last decade, Kalinka has held the top 3 position in the CIS market, especially in premium development, allowing the company to draw significant conclusions for the market. The second speaker from Metropolitan will look at the current situation from a real estate agency point of view, from a real estate agency that is focused on the Russian-speaking audience but holds a leadership position in the UAE. Alina and Adamco will share the audience current needs and key doubts and stoppers of Russian-speaking customers now. We will also discuss an audience profiling from the buyer's goal: to live in the property, to invest for rental income, or to invest to sell in some period, and what this period is. The third speaker from Yandex will look at the current situation from the point of view of the leading digital media in Russia and the most popular search engine in the Russian language. What is the typical real estate customer behavior today? How does it differ from others? What are the real estate demand dynamics? The fourth speaker, my colleague from ePromo, will analyze the media environment of the customer. We'll look at the customer journey map and we'll answer these questions. In which channels and with what message is it more effective to target real estate customers in GCC? What doubts about countries does the audience have? What USP do real estate advertisers use now? And what is the difference between a developer and a real estate agency in terms of advertising? How to do an effective media mix? And the last speaker, also from ePromo, will present analytics of existing developers' websites and landing page and point out typical mistakes that companies from GCC make working with Russian-speaking audience. Hope that our webinar will be useful for you. Also, I would like to introduce my colleague, Asya Tikhomolova, head of the international department of our company, who is responsible for working with companies from GCC. Asya will be the host of today's event.
Thank you for your introduction, Anton, and thank you for going over our agenda for today. Before we officially begin, I would like to go over a few organizational questions. Our live event will take roughly 2 hours. We are going to have 5 speakers, and each speech will take roughly 15 to 20 minutes. We are open to discussions, so please feel free and don't hesitate to leave your questions in the chat box below. We'll make our best and we'll do our best to answer all of your questions during the webinar. Also, it's important to note that we are going to send you over every presentation and all of the materials that we are presenting today. And with all of that mentioned, let's begin. And I am pleased to pass the word on to Egor Aleksandrov, Chief Marketing Officer of Kalinka Ecosystems, with their presentation on a Russian-speaking audience on UAE real estate market and the trends.
Hello, everyone. I think that you can hear me well. So, my name is Egor. I'm a CMO of Kalinka. Kalinka is an international consulting and real estate company. We are working on several markets, and we have clients from, I think, almost all over the world right now, and we are working with the premium segment. So today we are going to speak a bit about MENA market and trends and our, I think, research and forecast for future. Could you please turn to next slide? Yeah. As I think everyone know that demand among Russian-speaking audience last year was absolutely high. And speaking about top 3 countries and geographies last year, we can underline Turkey, United Arab Emirates, and Georgia. Of course, today we are going to speak about the United Arab Emirates mostly, and now it's like a general slide for demand and outflow from Russia to international markets, speaking about real estate. Let's talk about Dubai especially. In the first quarter of this year, demand on local market was quite high. In total, in Dubai, there were 31,000 deals closed with the average budget of 1.3 million dirhams per apartment and 2.3 million dirhams for villas. So, speaking about the most attractive areas, talking about regarding apartments, it was GCC, and regarding villas, it was Damascus villas. So you can see dynamics on the screen, and I think we are positively look at the next quarter, the second quarter. But speaking about Russian-speaking audience, I think that forecast is not so brilliant and good. But we are hoping that the situation will be quite great in overall market and different segments. Next slide, please. What about trends in Dubai for the first quarter of this year? I would like to underline that there were a bit more projects than previous year, plus 59 projects in construction, and comparing to the previous year. And I think that, as I already mentioned, 31,000 deals closed in the first quarter. It's a good sign that real estate market in Dubai is growing and booming still. I think we have positive traction on the market, and talking not about positive things, but maybe for someone negatives, but not, I think, for us. The share of buyers, Russian-speaking buyers and Russian buyers dropped from quite dramatically from 24% in previous quarter to 1% in this quarter. I think that those who are interested in real estate market found out that Russians dropped down from first place who bought real estate properties last year to third place in the first quarter, and I think the demand is slowing down. And those who already bought properties here in the UAE, they are looking for different options, maybe to diversify their properties and diversify their investments. Next slide, please. And regarding diversification, we are looking for an Abu Dhabi, like a next spot of investments from Russian-speaking community and Russians, of course, because Abu Dhabi demand is growing also in the first quarter. There were more than 2,000 transactions already made, and the volume of transactions is more than 7.5 billion dirhams. It's quite an interesting results for Abu Dhabi, because when we are speaking about the UAE, most of people in Russia and Russian-speaking people, they are thinking about Dubai, but Abu Dhabi is new hotspot for investments, no matter for just to make more money through investments or to live here, for example. It's a great opportunity to diversify your investments. So if you already, for example, have an apartment or a villa in Dubai, it's a great opportunity right now to invest in Abu Dhabi. So I think that speaking about some records, the most highest price is on Al Sadia Thailand. It's a top location in Abu Dhabi, and we can see that the record was closed in Q4 previous. By units, I would like to underline that by units, the record was done in Q4 in previous year, but speaking about total amount of money in dirhams, the first quarter in Abu Dhabi, you can see it, the graph, and it's quite the same. Next slide, please. Lots of people are thinking about diversification. They are speaking about MENA market at all. We know that there are a lot of opportunities, not only in the UAE. There are a lot of interesting, unexpected opportunities for investments in different GCC countries. For example, I would like to underline Qatar. After the World Cup in last year, World Cup, we thought that there will be a decrease of price, but no, we can see that real estate market in Qatar is feeling great, and I think that demand will be much more than previous forecasts of last year and the very beginning of this year. And I think this quite unexpected market will be in demand for diversification also and for new investments, because it's an interesting country, and also that this region is will be developing also as Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. And I would like just to say a bit about Qatar and demand on this market. Let's after Abu Dhabi, yes, if Abu Dhabi is quite completed region, but Qatar is a new one to look for. Next slide, please. And on this slide, you can see two graphs with the dynamics of and results of the previous year. As already known, that previous year was very good due to outflow of Russian money from Russia to the UAE, and of course there are a lot of deals closed here in Dubai, in the UAE overall, and of course number of transactions was very high. And of course we can see now that forecasts are quite I think I would call it normal, because last year is not representative for all market, because we had a very high demand in the moment, and now we think that demand will be normalized. So you can see 2022 was really fantastic to the market. Market was booming. That's why this year we are waiting a lot of new projects here in the UAE market, and I think it would be great to diversify investments and to diversify customers, of course, and our customers also, not only Dubai and new regions across the UAE, like Abu Dhabi, I already mentioned, and Ras Al Khaimah, and so on. There are a lot of interesting new opportunities with great plans of development. Next slide, please. Now we are going to switch to Russian clients and their behavioral portrait. So I think it's quite understandable that Russian clients prefer to speak to Russian brokers, Russian speakers, because it's easy. It's not only for Russian speaking audience. I think that people from Pakistan or India or UK, it's better for them to communicate with brokers or specialists who are speaking the same language, who are sharing their mentality and so on, historical background, because background is different from I think country to country and so on. But I would like to point that immediate and high quality feedback is crucial for communicating with Russian speaking audience. Of course, because of the high level of customer support in Russia now in for example, private banking and all the financial organizations and so on, customer level and customer support level in Russia quite high, and that's why people, especially network people, they are waiting of quality and immediate full cycle support here in the MENA market from real estate agents, from real estate brokers and companies. Of course, they're waiting also for a complete information about the unit. They do not want to spend their time for searching market areas or units, villas and so on. That's why it's crucial for brokers and for specialists from real estate companies to prepare complete information about the unit, to schedule views, to know about views from the window, to the height of ceiling, and so on. It's also crucial for Russian-speaking audience. And of course, our business, when we are speaking about premium quality and premium support and premium property, first of all, it's necessary to have a lot of clients who are ready to recommend your company, to recommend your broker to friends, colleagues, and so on. And it's necessary to support your clients after sale of property. It's necessary to maintain relationships with your clients and to provide, of course, the best service on the market. It was, I think, it were 3 top priority for working with the Russian clients. And speaking about marketing efforts and marketing trends for this year, I would like to mention already, I think, 2 to 3 key trends. You can see that Dubai market and the UAE market is overwhelmed now. It's like a red ocean for real estate companies. There are a lot of new companies opened, I think, the last several months here. And we are waiting of, for example, speaking about lead generation, of increasing the qualified leads price, and it's quite competitive sphere right now. So I think that real estate companies now are facing next issues. It's quite understandable for all marketers, I think, all around sphere, all around real estate, that it's necessary to work with your brand using not only I don't know, expensive advertising with the brand awareness metrics and so on. I mean that you should work with your reputation, micro influencers on the local markets, with the media and so on, to create your brand. Because now, as I already mentioned, there are a lot of firms, there are a lot of agencies in the local market. And if you're, for example, Googled for real estate or to buy an apartment in Dubai, you will find lots of ads in Google, and there is nothing about the brand. That's why I think the first trend is to transform your brand marketing strategy together, and not only with the lead generation strategy and approach, to think about a cost-effective brand development. So next big thing in our market, like working with your web tools. I mean, not only website, it could be digital platforms like application and so on. But regarding the website, it's better to work with the organic traffic and search optimization. Right now, it's the right moment now to promote your content and to find efficient channel of searching your website and so on. And of course, I think it's quite a good opportunity to increase your efficiency and to decrease the price of the client using your website and managing it well. So I think these 2-point strategic approaches will help real estate companies to develop and to perform better this year on the local market. And of course, I think that you can see on the slides in the news that demand is growing, not for only Russian people. There are a lot of Chinese customers, potential customers, because lockdown and all these visa issues were closed in China, and there are a lot of rich China people who are going to invest somewhere in the Middle East, and I think it's also a trend working with the Asian region and with China especially. So that's all for now from me. I hope it was helpful, and please don't hesitate to ask your questions. It was a great time here with you. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for your time and for your speech, Egor. Let's check if we have any questions. And if we have, we are going to ask them. As far as I see, there are no questions so far. So hopefully there will be some soon. And meanwhile, I would like to introduce our second speaker, Alina Adamco, who is a head of sales at Metropolitan Premium Properties, and we are going to discuss. Real estate market trends, especially among high net worth individuals. Firstly, after the speech that Egor just gave, we would like to focus on the change in demand for premium properties in the UAE. And our previous speaker mentioned that the growth right now is especially focused around premium UAE properties. So is this true? And how has the demand essentially changed?
Hello, everyone. Thanks a lot for the previous speaker. He has highlighted on so many stats. So it's a good introduction for you to understand from the point of view of numbers and statistics, the market, our view of hands on the market. We're a real estate agency who is focusing with both primary market and secondary market. So we have the opportunity to be through their journey, because as a real estate agency, we are providing the full spectrum of services, from primary sale to resale of the property while it's still in the construction stage, or the resale when it has reached the handover, and then rental, and then property management. So we know the demand of the clients throughout the whole journey. So what we can see now in the market, there is a shift from the point of view of the expectations of the client and selection of the project qualities and even the ticket size. So many clients who've been coming to UAE, if we're speaking about Russian speakers, who've been coming to UAE to test the grounds or to invest into mid-segment properties, and now they started investing into premium properties. And the developments which are available at the moment in the market, the recent launches, many of them, the starting ticket price is like 20 million and above. And the speed of sale is very quick. There are so many clients who are coming and securing the project even without knowing so many details about the unit, especially when it comes to secluded projects with, without being shouted out the quality. So Russians are about quality, and they are about premium living. Of course, it's about the amenities. So if we're looking at the amenities, the first thing will be access to the beach, and ideally to be private access to the beach. The next one will be having a sea view. If you can't have it all, you can have at least the sea view. And the next one will be the water views. It's either Marina or Dubai Creek or Dubai Canal. And another interesting shift is towards the gated communities and the greenery, because we can see that there is so many families that have shifted to live in UAE for the past 1 year, and they started appreciating to live in villas and townhouses in greener communities with parks, kids play areas, malls nearby, and they have really started shifting from renting a property into owning a property in such a community. Another thing which we noticed among the clients, because they all are into, most of them, the high net worth, they're into luxury. So they would expect spacious sizes, premium locations, and very high quality of the finishing. So considering the fact that most of this features will be met in the newly launched project, which will be available for handover in 2 to 3 years' time. People are looking into upgraded properties. And that's an interesting thing, like you could purchase a property in Palm Jumeirah, let's say a villa, upgrade it and resell it in a short period of time with a quite interesting profit. When you start calculating, it's even better than buying a property from the developer. But of course, it takes skills and time, so it's not for everyone. At the same time, for those who have the experience in building, rebuilding, and refurbishing, they can find their niche in this type of product. And I could say that when we're looking at the premium properties, it's a lot about the uniqueness. We look at the Royal Atlantis, for example. The appreciation and the capital appreciation is 70%, 100%. We look at the Bulgari. We look at the Blue Waters. So, of course, you cannot replicate things which have been of such a caliber. But at the same time, to understand the demand of the client, this is what the client is looking for a trophy asset. Even from the investment point of view. Of course, from the personal use point of view, the clients who can afford, they want to afford the best. From the investment point of view, they want to put their hand onto something which can be resold later with a profit to those who didn't make it to the launch, or who didn't assess the opportunity at the right time. Yes.
Yeah, and it seems like we are dealing with highly motivated customers, whether those customers are investors or those customers that are looking for their own private property. And have you noticed any shifts, especially fundamental shifts in customer motivation, when we are talking about those two different segments of the audience, investors and just private property owners?
Yes, absolutely. We can see that people started buying for personal use more and more. So, as I mentioned, many Russians are coming to Dubai as tourists, and they're well aware about the lifestyle here. At the same time, being encouraged or forced, we call it whatever it is, to spend more time in UAE and to interact with the country from the perspective of living here with the family, having to put their kids in school, to go to the healthcare facilities. Many started rethinking and saying that, yeah, we'd like to live here and to have UAE as the second home, if not the first. And many started buying properties for own use. So we have seen the shifts, especially when the migration to UAE started. Many people started renting their properties and then in a short period of time, shifting to a ready property. Those who had more patience and a higher taste, they bought properties off plan, which will be constructed in a matter of 3 years. That's normally the construction span of pretty much any project. And they're patiently waiting for their project, or they have bought in between another property. Another thing which we noticed is that families are involved in the decision-making process. So if previously an investor was normally the man of the house, buying a project to flip it, resell it with capitalization or to rent it further. Now full families are coming for the viewing or for the property presentation, and even the teenagers in the family, they have their say of what they think is right project to be bought for the family or not. Another thing is that people have started considering to buy properties for their young children and secure their future from now. Many started thinking about the education of their kids in the UAE. And that's a very interesting shift in the mentality of the clients. And even though the market will, the demand will surge or not, but part of this community will still remain in the UAE, and they will continue living here.
Thank you. I think it is a really important fact to consider that there are some fundamental shifts taking place and new communities are emerging to stay for a while or to stay for good in terms of national communities and in terms of all of this cultural shift, and a lot of CIS citizens coming to live in Dubai and in the UAE in general. So when it comes to buyer personas, you have mentioned a few factors that the motivation is changing and the customer behavior in general is changing, but has the portrait of the customer changed, and how does the portrait of the premium property buyer, how does it look now?
I would say that it's normally, if we were to build the portrait, it's normally a man who takes the decision in the age between 35 to 55. Most of them would be business owners or having stable sources of income. And the interesting part for me and my colleagues, we're a large team and we're always sharing feedback, that more and more the young generation is involved in the decision-making process. And we've noticed how families are taking the decision to buy, for example, there is a teenager, 17 years old, and then there is a younger kid of, 12 years old, and the family is buying 2 apartments next to each other and saying, let's preserve it for future, for our kids. We will not resell, let them come and have their stable lifestyle in the UAE. And that's an interesting thing, because previously most of the decisions were just to, okay, let's buy a property and rent it. Let's buy a property and sell it later with a profit. So this type of approach makes it very interesting, because this way we can manage full portfolios for the families. And as I said, we as a company, we can see the whole customer journey, and we are managing the properties after they're being built. We're taking the handover, we're doing the snaggings, we're finding the tenants if this is the case, or we are operating, for example, the family is keeping an apartment in UAE as a holiday home, and they're visiting the country, let's say 3 times per year. So in between, we're taking care about the property to make sure that everything is secure. And we can see that more and more of these properties are coming into our portfolio as a company. And that's a trend overall in the market.
Thank you. Thank you for highlighting these long-term trends. And here right now, we can see that there are several factors that people take in when choosing a property.
Yes, absolutely. So Russians have always loved the sea, and that hasn't changed much. So the first priority falls into the seaside properties. So it's all the coastal. Of course, most of the projects available at the moment are already handed over and mature. However, there is a lot of interesting projects which are upcoming at the moment. So those who are looking for something unique, they can still find their projects in the market, and the developers can also consider this to occupy this niche. Whatever is with the sea access or beach access, whatever is with the sea view or waterfront view. So, and the next thing is greenery. So parks, proximity to the shopping centers, to the kids play areas, and having family-friendly amenities. So if we were to quantify, it's pretty much two different client segments.
Okay, so thank you for highlighting the changes and also the factors that many CIS citizens are taking into consideration when purchasing the property for themselves and their families. However, we all understand that there are some specifics to working with this type of audience. Maybe there are barriers or other factors that our audience right now needs to know when dealing with a high net worth Russian speaking audience. So what's your outlook on that?
Well, as my colleague mentioned in the previous presentation, it's about connecting to the clients. So the best is to have a Russian-speaking salesperson who knows the mentality of the Russian client and who understands the background and the language. So this wouldn't be a barrier. Yes, I can say that so many people who are buying in the market nowadays, they are already well spoken in English, and they can manage to buy a property even from a non-Russian salesperson. At the same time, the trust level is much higher when you're speaking to somebody from your own background. Another thing is the pretension or the desire to have the best of what you can achieve. It goes to the quality of the product, to the quality of the finishing, and at the same time to the service which is being provided. So the expectation from the salesperson is to deliver the correct message. For example, if you're selling a project and it has a beach access, the client will ask you, for example, does this beach belong to the building or it doesn't? Is it mentioned in the SPA or it's not? The salesperson should be in a position to clearly justify and prove to the client all the amenities, and not only, as it's been mentioned, sometimes the clients will ask you the height of the ceiling, the thickness of the wall, and many other things which are technical and specific. And the salesperson should be in a position to clearly answer these questions, because this can be a deal breaker sometimes. A great thing will be an experience room, and we've seen in the market some developers creating this experience room for the client, where you can step in and start understanding how great is the product, how good is the quality of the materials used. So by the time the client is out, the decision to purchase is already taken. While as looking only at the mock-up or only a digital presentation or only a presentation given by a salesperson might not be enough. I know the pace now is very quick, and between launching a project and selling a project, there is a short span. But looking long term, having provided to the client the experience, the showroom, it's quite an important thing. And of course, the clients are expecting a transparent communication. So the more straightforward, the better. I think that goes to every nationality, but for Russian speakers, that's really an important thing. This is how most of us are raised. Be responsible for what you're speaking about.
Alina, thank you for such an insightful presentation. And I think those points are extremely important to consider when we are building communication or any other type of marketing strategy, name it a developer brand or a real estate agency. Those are key points to consider when working with the CIS citizens. So thank you for your time.
So much, Asya.
Let's check whether we have any questions or comments in the chat so that we can answer. Okay, seems like that's all for now, and we can move to the next speaker. Okay, we see a question, so give us a few minutes to read it and to answer it. What could be the split between off-plan and second-hand properties for CIS buyers, more or less?
Well, I would say it will be more or less 60-40 at the moment, because as I mentioned, especially in the premium properties, most of the clients are looking for something futuristic and something upcoming. So many of them don't mind to buy a project now and have it delivered in 3 years. And they're ready to live on rentals or to live in another purchase property in order to relocate to the next posh project. Let's say 6 Senses on Palm Jumeirah. Many clients are happy to wait. Or we have many others. I don't want to, to bring too many names. But yes, I would say that for the moment, 60-40.
This is a great split because this also highlights how future-oriented and how long-term oriented the audience is, I think, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you for the answer, Alina, and thank you for your time.
Most welcome.
We are happy to introduce our third speaker, Evgeniya Slastunova, who is a key account manager at Yandex MENA, with the topic of Russian-speaking audience as the target one, with a lot of insightful information and specifics about the audience and how to target them.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for introduction. I represent Yandex Middle East team here, and we're going to analyze the key trends on the market and how you can benefit from the collaboration with Yandex to get better outcomes. Next slide, please. Some of you may know that Yandex is the most popular search engine among the Russian-speaking audience. Moreover, Yandex is a technology-driven company which provides a lot of services for its customers, such as ride-hailing, food delivery, maps, voice assistant, self-driving cars, weather forecast, and so on. Last year, Yandex launched a ride-hailing service in Dubai. It's called Yango. As we examine the key media players in Russia, it's important to note that the global giants such as Google, YouTube, last year left the market. TikTok also limited access to its ad platform. And Yandex now is even stronger. Our monthly coverage is more than 80%, and we cover more than 98 million people in a month. Yandex has a search engine and analytical tools, and this provides us with the data. Here we have graph line where we can see the number of search queries and dynamics from the beginning of 2022 to April 2023. On the right side of this graph, you can see the rank of the top countries where our audience were looking for real estate abroad. We excluded Belarus and Kazakhstan from this data set because people from this country use Yandex for the local searches for real estate. Besides, the left part of this graph line shows quarters of 2022, and we can see it's intentionally blurred that the leader was Turkey, this orange line, and it was a huge difference between other players. But from the January 2023, situation significantly changed. Number two was real estate in the UAE, the blue line, bold blue line. And in the March, I want to highlight that in the March, the number of search queries from CIS countries were much higher and much higher from Turkey one. Next slide, please. Let's take a closer look at the comparison between first quarter of 2023 and last quarter of 2022. While many countries saw a strong surge in interest for real estate during last quarter of 2022, the UAE uniquely maintained its growth in the first quarter of 2023, with a 14% increase in search queries, and the UAE has demonstrated the most favorable trend among the countries under consideration. Next slide, please. Let's shift our focus to comparing the data specifically among the Emirates. Dubai is an absolute market leader. It has more than 150 key queries in first quarter of 2023. But we also note that other Emirates has potential for significant growth. And Abu Dhabi increase is a leader in terms of increase. It grows by 94% in comparison with the previous quarter. What's interesting is that the audience is already familiar with the real estate developers as they actively use their names in search queries. However, there is a notable gap in awareness when it comes to real estate agencies. We can see that only 7,000 requests consisted of or included brand name of real estate agency. But it could be changed using a media fair formats and launching media formats. It becomes possible to build awareness and establish a strong reputation for both developers and agencies. Next. This pie chart illustrates that most of our audience is not certain about the type of real estate they want, which is seen in their use of general search of terms. 30% of the audience, they're looking for flats and other types of properties, such as houses and villas, are not as popular. Also, our data show. Thank you. Also, our data shows that premium properties are highly sought after. A significant 90% of our audience are interested in premium housing. It's the same as Egor mentioned it before. Only small 10% are looking for economy housing, with the remaining percentage interested in other types. Let's describe the audience who is interested in real estate in the UAE. From our side, the proportion of men and women is almost the same. These users are mainly between 25 to 54 age and with high income. Our analysis of the audience's long-term interest shows that in addition to real estate in Dubai, they also show significant interest in Asian holidays, hotels, investment properties, and premium real estate in general. Next. We can use this information when we think about places for our campaigns. We can use Yandex services, which are very popular among our audience, and use media formats and special projects on these platforms. For example, on the maps, on the video network, or on Yandex travel service. So purchasing real estate in a foreign country is a significant decision. That's why it can take up to 2 months from the first interest becoming a potential buyer or lead. Typically, our audience met or first see advertising in advertising network. Then, after approximately from 5 to 11 days, they often start using broad search terms to learn more about the subject. After this, when they have some general knowledge about real estate in the UAE, they are looking for specific brand name of developer or specific properties. In about 35 to 58 days, our clients usually figure out what they want, and they are almost ready to make a deal. The customer journey is quite long and comprehensive process, and that's why it's crucial to be visible all the way and through each stage. This can be achieved by collecting data, collecting segments of audience who have already seen our message, and using retargeting strategy for performance channels. Next. Currently, most developers and real estate agencies are focusing on the lower stages of the marketing funnel. They use they use performance channels, and it has become a red ocean. Competition here is fierce, and the number of potential clients is too limited. So the price gets higher in the ocean, and you will always pay more in this case. Next slide, please. In order to solve this problem, we recommend to work at upper stages of the marketing funnel and to build brand awareness and interact more with your audience. To do this, we can advise to use promo pages. It's a black platform where you can post some articles and to create some unique content, which will help our audience who has not already know a lot about real estate to get some basic knowledge. Besides, video and banners formats could help the audience to understand what is your advantage from your competitors, and all these instruments and media formats can also boost performance channel. Yeah, please. Let's have a close look to some of the formats. Video, we can use video in Yandex Video Network. It's format with high effectiveness, with high conversion rate, and we also can collect segment of audience who have seen half or full our message to use it for in performance channel. Next. Display banners. So it's the most common format because we can reach almost everyone, 97% of internet, and it's placed on more than 31 key quality sites. And here we can use targetings like demographics, interests, behavior, and even to collect and create some custom segments for our clients. Next. And after we use these media formats, it's better to push advertising in Yandex search when people already know your brand and they type your brand in our search engine. Here you can placement is inside of search engine and it results. Format can be text or an image, and here we can use for targeting key phrases or even after targeting, which helps our IE will help to find the audience who is interested in your offer. Advertising in networks helps to use CPC or CPA models. It's advertising in external networks and partner sites. And here we can use keywords also and after targeting and for looking the right audience. Next. Let's recap what we just discussed. So we can see that it's long-term trend to real estate in the UAE and is getting even higher. We as Yandex we know what is the audience who are looking for the real estate in the region and what are their patterns and behaviors. We have a wide range of ad services and marketing and analytical tools. So let's work together and we will guide you to create a campaign for your needs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evgeniya. Thank you. And we have a couple of questions in the chat. So we have a question from Lorraine, and Lorraine asks, 80% of buyers for Orla were from UK. Is it because we cannot target CIS clients via direct channels? And my assumption is yes. And firstly, we have to review the strategy itself and review the targeting options that you are using currently. And Evgeniya right now gave an overview and an example of how we can target CIS customers through the tools of Yandex and the Yandex ecosystem. And I'm going to, in the next speech, go over the strategy overall once again, so that we can lock in the knowledge and understand the tactics and the strategy for working with the CIS audience properly. Okay, thank you, Evgeniya, for the presentation. A lot of data and a lot of insights. And we are moving forward with our next topic. And our next topic is media strategy for Russian speakers, in which we are going to break down the specifics of communication, customer journey, and media mix planning. My name is Asya, and as mentioned, I am a head of our international department. And right now, we are going to understand what to specifically consider when working with the CIS audience online. What's essential in communication and placements, how to develop an effective media mix according to the customer journey. Are there any unique placements in media mix that we need to consider when targeting CIS audience? And what's in store with omnichannel approach and analytics? Firstly, I would like to go over what we mean by CIS countries. And CIS stands for Commonwealth of Independent States. And basically, it is a union of post-Soviet countries and a socio-economic union that's not only united by unique taxation privileges, but also it is united by Russian language, because a lot of these citizens from these countries are Russian speakers, and they share unique media consumption patterns across all of these nationalities. Here on the slide, you can see some of the stats for the CIS countries, the CIS country stats in numbers, and we are talking about a variety of countries with a lot of possibilities for demand generation. Of course, needless to say that there are some audience specifics when we are talking about the CIS citizens. There is a large community of Russian speakers from several countries, and we need to take into consideration the demand that comes from those several countries when we are trying to target Russian speakers in general, because of course Russian speaking community is not exclusively limited to Russia itself. Also, it's important to note that taking everything that's going on in the world right now, Russian speakers are spreading across the globe even more, and they are still retaining some common media consumption habits. Also, the decision-making process is getting more complicated, and right now it may unfold in two general ways. People are buying property while they are located in the UAE or in other GCC countries, and people who make the decision online located in other countries. So they're trying to make the decision while not being in the country of the decision making themselves. So in terms of customer journey, before we break the customer journey down, we need to keep in mind one thing. We are dealing with a buyer that is mostly irrational, and it's not exclusive to the Russian-speaking audience. It's specific of every other person, because in terms of psychology, we all behave irrationally, even though we are trying to make rational decisions. So in terms of real estate purchasing process, it takes a while, and my colleagues already mentioned that the process is lengthy and takes a long time. So complicated decision-making process, it may be unsystematic, and potential buyers engage with brands and with brands of real estate agencies, with brands of developers on various levels of the sales funnel. There may not be that much of consistency across the customer journey, because decision making process may be chaotic, especially when the person is trying to make the purchasing decisions online, and buyers might take pauses to weigh in on their decision and to weigh in on their potential purchase. Also, there is a lot of vigilance when it comes to making this decision, because financially taxing decisions are taken seriously. And of course, here rational factors outweigh emotional ones, even though it's still important to consider various emotional communication approaches. What to consider from all of this information? Each step of the sales funnel shall be taken into account when we're thinking about customer needs. So may it be developers or real estate agencies, in terms of marketing and communication strategy, each step of the sales funnel shall consider customer needs. And communication has to overcome those decision stoppers and barriers and emphasize purchase drivers. And when it comes to purchase drivers, let's go over a few of examples, because unique selling points and those USPs that we are using in ad copies, in our creative strategy, in the marketing strategy, those should be aligned with purchase drivers and purchase barriers. So for example, here on the slide, you see a few of examples of buyer personas: property investor, business owner located in the UAE, or a family of four that's trying to make the decision to buy the property outside of UAE. And there are different drivers that work best for various buyer personas. So when it comes to communicating with property investors, it may be best to highlight, of course, the investment potential, the renting potential, and the price. And unique selling points that may help in that are location, amenities, and discounts with purchasing multiple objects, multiple lots. When it comes to business owners that are located in the UAE, in this example, this target segment, they value speedy deal settlement, purchase conditions, and private personalized purchase conditions, and governmental privileges that go with purchasing property in the UAE. And unique selling points here are buy now, pay later options, low mortgage rates, Emirates ID eligibility, etc., and smooth and quick purchase process. So when it comes to our final example, the family of four that's trying to make the decision online, unique selling points will differ. So it's important to highlight location, amenities. It's important to highlight legal safety, and also provide online walkthrough or any other options that we may offer to those clients to help them make the decision online faster and efficient and better. And of course, personal service and personal management is highly valuable. We went over a few of the unique selling points and communication touch points that we need to consider. However, when it comes to customer journey in real estate, it is a lengthy process, right? So we have highlighted it multiple times. But the aim of every marketing activity is to communicate with the audience in the right place and at the right time. And no matter at which stage of customer journey our potential buyer, our potential customer is, we need to consider those touch points in our marketing strategy to have, and we need to think about the right messages to have in place to present the brand in the best light, no matter at which stage of the customer journey our potential buyer is. So typically within the customer journey process for real estate, we have a phase of research, a phase of market research that moves to the phase of research and comparison, where our potential customer makes a mental shortlist of different options, of different developers and different projects that they like and they want to buy. And then the decision-making process takes in this shortlist into consideration. And finally, our potential customers are ready to communicate with the brands directly. They are ready to fill out lead forms, set up calls, book meetings, etc., etc., and they're ready to make a purchase. So on the so for both stages of research and for research and comparison, we need to have the right communication in place. And of course, when we are thinking about marketing strategy and communication strategy, we should think according to our sales funnel. As Evgeniya from Yandex has already mentioned, we should consider working with different types of demand to create a full funnel omnichannel marketing strategy that works efficiently and effectively in the long run. Because right now, when we are already equipped with all of the analytics from the market, we understand that the shift in customer behavior for the Russian-speaking audience is pretty permanent. And our potential customers from the CIS countries, they're thinking long-term. And that means that in terms of marketing, we as advertisers have to think strategically, and we have to think about our long-term strategies. And here our sales funnel omnichannel approach comes in handy, because this reminds us to think about activities that work with different types of demand. And of course, needless to say that we should choose our KPIs wisely, and we should consider using different sets of KPIs when we are evaluating activities from different types of sales funnel steps. And of course, our strategy changes along with the type of demand that we are working on or that we're trying to emphasize in our marketing strategy. When we are thinking about working with potential audience and when we are building the brand or trying to get the word out for our CIS customers about our brand, we are working on these upper levels of the funnel with demand generation and engagement and consideration. And when we are trying to generate more sales and more leads, of course, we are focusing on the audience that's already familiar with the brand. And we should provide essential info on this stage of decision making. We should highlight all of the benefits that differ us from the competition. And we should provide personalized communication with the retargeting strategies in place. And here on this slide, I would like to pay your attention to the part where we have this example of how different channels correspond to different stages of the customer journey. Finally, when we answering the question about direct communication and channels that every advertiser should consider when working with the CIS audience, here on the slide you can see a few examples of the platforms that are specific to these unique media consumption patterns that our CIS audience has. So when it comes to search engines and in search ads placements, apart from Google that targets those who reside outside of Russia, we have Yandex who targets both those who reside outside of Russia and those who reside in Russia. So it's important to consider those two platforms when working with search ads, because we need to target both those huge segments of the audience. So those people who have relocated and those people who are trying to make this decision to move or that are buying property while still staying in Russia. When it comes to social media, apart from our usual Meta and TikTok, we have local VK and MyTarget platforms. Those platforms, they help to run ads on our biggest social network in the CIS, and it's also great to leverage those platforms to target our audience specifically and more directly. There is a variety of programmatic and mobile ad networks, and I won't stop on that. It is also important to consider classifieds that are specific to the market, to the CIS market, and each country within the CIS typically has their own classifieds. And when you're thinking about differentiating your media mix, it's important to consider classifieds as well. In general, approach to effective advertising campaigns looks like that. When we are developing in omni-channel long-term strategy, firstly, we start with analysis of the target audience of the product itself, so with analysis of the brand, and then we segment the audience, take into consideration the characteristics of the audience, test various tactics and various campaign segmentation based on our audience segments. Then we automate part of the successful activities, and then we run tests on ad copies, on ad creatives, to understand which ad copies and which creatives and which communication messages work the best for various types of audiences. When it comes to analytics, of course, we continuously analyze the campaigns and optimize our campaigns based on those results. That leads us to the process of new hypothesis generation, and this whole process starts again, because when we generate new hypothesis to test, this whole process just starts again. So here I would like to highlight the importance of this stage of analysis and the importance of the stage of customer segmentation, especially when we are working with audiences from different countries. And as developers and as real estate agencies, you are probably working with a lot of different audiences from different types of countries, and it's important to take a while to analyze the unique media consumption patterns and then to adjust your promotional activities accordingly. Trust me, this will pay off, and this will get great results in the long run in your campaigns. And let's move forward. Finally, let's try to answer the question of how to sell out a skyscraper in 30 seconds. So it's not easy. And of course, when there were stories about selling out a skyscraper in 30 seconds, it was at the peak of the demand for the UAE properties. However, we have a few tips in store. Review your target audience and identify key segments. I have already mentioned that. And after establishing your strategy for the target audience, you should work through every stage of the customer journey. So allow for some time for the strategy to settle, and also remember to leverage a variety of channels to target high-income individuals in their native platforms. For example, the Yandex ecosystem, the unique classifieds that are specific to the market, and etc., etc. To sell out a skyscraper in 30 seconds, you need to think strategically and long-term and really focus on each step of the customer journey, and especially put an emphasis onto demand generation. Okay, and that concludes my speech. If you have any questions about media strategy and digital planning, I'll leave them below, and we will do our best to answer them. And right now, I am passing the word on to my colleague, Daria. I am passing the word to my colleague, Daria Klokova, and she is going to present a few tips on how to increase your conversion rate right now and to generate more leads.
Thank you, Asya. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Daria, and I'm a business development manager at ePromo Group. And today I will tell you about common mistakes real estate developers often make when it comes to creating a website for foreign audiences and how they can be avoided. We all know that good UX and UI of the website are tied to business results. But when it comes to such a category like real estate, it's incredibly important to make your site easier to use and the information easier to find, while keeping the perception of the developer at a high level. What's more, real estate developers should adjust their websites to the specific needs and preferences of their foreign audience if they are targeting an international market. Adapting and tailoring the website to cater the unique requirements of the foreign audience enhances the likelihood of attracting and converting users into potential leads. We at ePromo have worked with a large number of real estate developers' websites and pointed out some common mistakes and drawbacks that can significantly influence not only the performance of advertising campaigns, but also the brand image. And in this section, I'll be talking about the mistakes and how they can be improved. But we won't show you the worst examples of websites, of course. To understand what it should look like, we'll demonstrate the best practices of real estate developers. This will also help you to get acquainted with local features of CIS real estate websites. So, as you can see, mistake number 1 is difficult website navigation. What is it? It's the lack of space, unstructured menu, small or too big images of property, lack of logical connection between the parts of the site, and how it can be improved. First of all, simplify navigation. Make it easy for users to find what they're looking for on your website. Simplify navigation menu and use clear labels that describe the content and functionality of each section. Your phone number and links to messengers should be clearly depicted in the head of your landing page so that the user who wants to speak to a manager rather than read all the information could easily get in touch with you. Make your call to action clear and prominent. Ensure that your call to action is visible and stands out from the rest of the page. Use action-oriented language that clearly communicates with the user and what the user can expect when they click the button. So now let's move to mistake number 2. That's related to the previous point. So mistake number 2 is unoptimized and difficult forms. Forms are a key element of many conversion processes. Too lengthy and complex forms can be a major turn-off for users. Simplify your forms, asking only for the most essential information needed to complete the conversion, and sort out irrelevant traffic. Filling out the form with too much extra info can push away the user. Leave only from 3 to 5 lines to fill out. They can help to understand the client's needs and proceed to the next step of discussion. So the manager can find all the rest information in the first seconds of a conversation with the client. The lines with name, phone number, and email are a must-have. And for example, preferred property type and budget are optional. What's more, forms should be duplicated in several parts of the page. A header, a middle part, and the bottom. Optimize your forms for UX and UI by using clear labels, smart defaults, and error messages that are easy to understand. And consider implementing form validation and autofill features to reduce friction for users. And now we can go to mistake number 3, is bad readability. When a user can't understand what is this residential complex and what are its benefits and unique selling points. Improve readability. Make it easy for users to read and understand your content. Use simple and concise language, short paragraphs, and headings to break up long block of text. Choose a font size and typeface that is easy to read on different screen sizes. If the website is difficult to read with small or unclear fonts, poor color contrast, or cluttered layouts, visitors may leave the site quickly, resulting in a high bounce rate and low conversion rates. A website with clear, well-organized content and easy-to-read fonts and colors can help establish trust, credibility, and professionalism, which can positively impact the perception of the real estate developer and their offerings. And the next is mistake number 4, lack of consistent branding. Consistent branding is crucial for real estate developers for several reasons. The first are recognition and recall. Consistent branding helps in creating a recognizable and memorable image of the real estate developer among their target audience. When a potential buyer or investor consistently see a developer's logo, colors, fonts, and other brand elements across different touch points, such as, for example, websites, brochures, social media, advertisements, it helps in building brand recall and recognition. This can lead to increased brand awareness and familiarity, which are important factors influencing buyer behavior in the real estate industry. The second are trust and credibility. Consistent branding conveys a sense of professionalism, trust, and credibility. It helps in building a positive perception of a real estate developer in the minds of potential buyers and investors. The third is emotional connection. Real estate is often an emotional decision for buyers, as Asya also mentioned in her speech, and branding plays a significant role in creating an emotional connection. Consistent branding helps in conveying the values, personality, the story of real estate developer, which can resonate with the target audience on an emotional level, and that's very important. And the last in this part are marketing and advertising efficiency. Consistent branding can streamline marketing and advertising efforts for real estate developers. With consistent branding elements, developers can create marketing collateral, digital campaigns, and other promotional materials more efficiently. It also helps in maintaining a cohesive look and feel across different marketing channels, ensuring that the messaging and visuals are aligned. And that also enhances the overall impact and effectiveness of marketing efforts. And the last, mistake number 5, poor translation to local languages. Language is a critical factor in website readability. If the foreign audience is not proficient in the language used on the website, it can be a barrier to understanding the content and engaging with the website. Real estate developers should consider translating their website content into the languages spoken by their target audience to ensure that the content is easily understandable and relatable to them. So don't underestimate the power of great translation when localizing the website for a new region. Let a local proofread your website copy to minimize awkward translation mistakes. So that's all for now. We hope that these tips would help you to increase your performance efficiency and get closer to your target audience. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Daria, for those useful and actionable tips. And we hope that after this presentation, you feel inspired to make a brief audit of your website and improve some things and tweak it a little bit to improve your conversion rate right now. And that concludes our agenda for today. Thank you for being with us, and I'm passing the word on to our colleague Anton.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, dear speakers, for sharing your presentations, your ideas, your expertise. Thank you, participants, for coming, for listening, for asking your interesting questions. I believe that this conference has been really fruitful, productive, and will mean the beginning of our successful preparations in the future. If you have any task regarding Russian-speaking audience about real estate, and not only real estate, and not only Russian-speaking audience, feel free to contact us, and we will come up with some solution. Looking forward to our cooperation. Thank you one more time for participating. Good luck. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.